Massive AFC East matchup on Thursday Night Football. Bills at Dolphins, both teams coming off Week 1 wins. Who will start the season 2-0? It's the Bills. Before getting to the Raiders-Ravens, here's how the helmets are prepared for each pick. Last week, the Raiders became the first team in 8 years since the Rex Ryan coached Bills to punt on 4th and 1 in opponent territory while trailing by 6, no less. In theory, by not going for that 3 feet, it cost them a loss. This week, they'll lose to the Ravens, who only lost by a toe in Week 1. The Chargers host the pitiful Panthers. I mean, each time the Red Zone channel cut to their game last week, it kept getting more cringeworthy. The Chargers took care of business against the Raiders, and I expect them to this... Oh, no, Paper Football. I'm using my one veto of the week on this one. Yikes. Saints at Cowboys, teams with 2 of the most dominant performances in the opening weekend. Each squad faced teams with subpar QBs. So how much of that dominance was them, and how much was that? Now, I can tell from where I was that there was no puncture on that attempt, and those are the rules. The cup has to be punctured. Finally, the Paper Football made up its mind, and it's going with the boys. Big game between 2 potential playoff teams. The Lions host the Buccaneers, each coming off impressive wins. Detroit actually ended Tampa Bay's season in the divisional round last year. Really looking forward to this rematch. The Paper Football is taking the Lions. My Packers host the Colts in Week 2. I was absolutely sick over Jordan Love getting hurt. I hope he gets better soon. The Colts are going to be tough. Too tough, according to the Paper Football. Don't like that. Cleveland hits the road to Jacksonville, aka the former Clemson Quarterback Bowl, or maybe the overpaid QB Bowl. Hey, one of them has to earn their paycheck this week, and that QB will be the one that still has some potential. The 49ers visit the Vikings in Week 2. Both teams looked good in their respective debuts, each beating New York teams. San Fran is going to be fine even if McCaffrey continues to miss time. Okay, thought that cup was punctured there. Upon further review, it was not. The Vikings beat the 49ers when they came to Minnesota last year, remember? But not this time. Seattle at New England. Hey, the Paper Football called that Patriots upset over the Bengals last week. Just saying. All right, I can again see that there was no puncture there. Don't worry, I checked when there was eventually a puncture. This rematch of Super Bowl 49 feels like it's going to be an old school, gritty football game. If I were picking this one, I don't know who I would take. That's why I let the Paper Football do all the work. It's on the Pats again. Jets at Titans. Based off of Week 1, I hereby dub this the Letdown Bowl. Titans, man, allowing the Bears to win that game is unforgivable. I used my first ever veto on you, and you made me look like an idiot. I'm over it. The Jets looked very Jet-like, even with Rodgers. The Paper Football says they'll look different in Week 2. Giants at Commanders. The nicest thing I can say about this matchup is Washington didn't look that uninspiring in their Week 1 loss. Still not inspiring enough for me to save my veto for this pick of the Giants. Arizona hosts the Rams in an NFC West showdown. Each took tough losses on the road last week. The Cards looked much improved over last season, and now I have questions about the Rams without Puka Nacua. So does the Paper Football. Steelers at Broncos. Will we be robbed of a Russell Wilson revenge game? Did Justin Fields show enough to keep the starting job in Pittsburgh? At the time of making this, we don't know. We do know Denver can score a touchdown at least. The Paper Football takes the Broncos. Bengals at Chiefs. The Paper Football is decisive with a one-shot sally. You can be sure there's no muttering of the phrase Burrowhead before this one after that ugly loss that Cincy took last week. Chiefs are going to do Chiefs things. Chicago travels to Houston. The Paper Football predicted both teams to win last week. I make no apologies for overriding that Bears pick. The Texans escaped a close one against the Colts. The Bears had the fewest offensive yards by a winning team since 2020, but it looks like they'll do better this week. Philly hosts the Falcons. It's another one-shot sally with the Paper Football. The Eagles look like they're back. We'll be able to say for sure after they beat Atlanta on Monday night.